It is 11 p.m., and you are still awake, scrolling through nothing, hating yourself for the thing you did not do today. You told yourself this morning you would be different. You were not. And the worst part is not that you failed. The worst part is that you do not even know why. You wanted it, you meant it, and somewhere between the wanting and the doing, you vanished. What if discipline was never the thing you thought it was? What if everything you have been taught about willpower is the exact reason you keep failing? Stay with this video, because by the end, you will understand something about yourself that almost nobody ever explains correctly. Here is where it starts to go wrong. You have been told that discipline is about gritting your teeth, forcing yourself, powering through resistance with sheer force of will. This is the version of discipline sold in every motivational speech, every gym poster, every late-night video promising you can think your way into becoming a different person. It is also almost completely wrong. Discipline is not a personality trait. It is not something some people simply have and others do not. Discipline is a system, and right now, your system is broken in a very specific, very fixable way, but you cannot fix what you do not understand. So let's understand it. Psychologist Roy Baumeister, in research that reshaped how scientists think about self-control, discovered something that should change how you see every failed attempt at discipline in your life. He found that willpower is not a fixed trait. It behaves like a muscle that fatigues with use. Every decision you make throughout the day, what to wear, what to eat, how to respond to an annoying email draws from the exact same limited reserve of mental energy that you also need to resist the couch, the phone, the procrastination. This means by the time you finally sit down to do the hard thing, your willpower may already be running on empty. Not because you are weak, because you spent it on 100 small decisions before you even got there. This is why discipline feels impossible at night. Even when it felt completely doable in the morning, you are not the same person biologically that you were 12 hours ago. But that is only the first piece of the puzzle. Here is the second, and it is the one that almost nobody talks about. Discipline does not fail because you lack motivation. It fails because of friction. Every action you want to take has a certain amount of resistance attached to it. How many steps it takes to begin, how much thinking is required before you can start, how uncomfortable the first 30 seconds feel. The brain, as research from Stanford behavior scientist B.J. Fogg has shown repeatedly, does not respond primarily to how much you want something. It responds to how easy that something is to start. This explains something that should feel uncomfortable to admit. The reason you cannot stick to the gym is rarely about not wanting results. It is about the 15 minutes of friction between deciding to go and actually walking out the door. The reason you cannot stop scrolling is not weak character. It is that scrolling requires zero friction, while putting the phone down and starting your work requires several invisible steps your brain quietly refuses to take. Discipline is not a war against laziness. It is a war against friction. And almost everyone is fighting the wrong battle. So why does this matter so much right now, tonight, for you specifically? Because every time you have tried to fix your discipline by trying harder, you are applying force to the wrong problem. You cannot out-willpower a system designed to avoid friction. You can only redesign the friction itself. This is the part where everything changes. There is a principle in behavioral psychology called environment design, studied extensively by researchers including Wendy Wood at the University of Southern California. Her research on habit formation found that the environment a person is in predicts their behavior far more reliably than their stated intentions or motivation levels. People with strong willpower are not actually resisting temptation more often than everyone else. They are simply encountering less temptation because they have engineered their environment to make the right choice, the easy choice. This single finding dismantles almost everything you have been taught about discipline. The people who seem disciplined are not winning a daily battle against urges. They have already won the battle in advance by removing the friction from the behavior they want and adding friction to the behavior they want to avoid. If you keep your phone on the nightstand, you will check it. If you keep junk food visible in the kitchen, you will eat it. Not because you are weak-willed, but because your brain is responding exactly the way every human brain responds to low-friction temptation sitting in plain sight. So here's what you actually need to do, starting tonight. Stop trying to become a person with more willpower. Start becoming an engineer of your own environment. Make the discipline choice the easiest choice available to you in any given moment, and make the undisciplined choice slightly harder to reach. Not impossible, just slightly harder. Research shows that even small amounts of added friction dramatically reduce impulsive, low-effort behaviors because the brain takes the path of least resistance almost every single time. This is not motivation. This is design. There is one more layer to this, and it might be the most important one. Discipline is not built in the big moments. It is built in the repeated, almost invisible moments, the fifth time you choose the slightly harder path instead of the easy one. Psychologist B.J. Fogg's research on tiny habits found that the brain forms lasting behavioral change far more reliably through small, repeated, low-friction actions than through occasional bursts of intense motivation. This means the version of you that becomes disciplined is not the version who has one incredible day of willpower. It is the version who makes the same slightly harder choice, in small and almost boring ways, over and over again, until it stops requiring effort at all. Discipline, in other words, is not a personality trait you either have or do not have. It is a structure you build. And once you understand that, the entire shame you have carried around your past failures starts to dissolve. You are never lacking some essential ingredient that other people have. You are simply fighting friction with willpower instead of fighting friction with design. It is 11 p.m. and you are still awake, but this time you are not hating yourself for failing. You understand now that discipline was never about being a stronger person. It was about building a smarter system, one small adjustment at a time, until the right choice stops requiring a fight and simply becomes the only door left open.